you think of Deepwater Horizon, it was a catastrophe, but if you had to have a catastrophe, you had it in the place which on the planet was best set up to respond. So you had deepwater ports with ships, with robotic vehicles, all of which gave you an ability to respond to that event in very short order. What happens if we have an oil spill in the Arctic? I'm James Bellingham. I'm the director for the Center of Marine Robotics here at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. My role in ADAC is I'm the principal investigator for the Arctic under ice oil spill vehicle. You need to provide the first responders with something that's going to give them actionable information, and yet it has to be something that they can do in the heat of the moment. They're trying to get as many people and as much equipment out there as quickly as possible, and you can't say, oh, I need 4 helicopter loads to get my equipment there. You got to figure out how you're going to do this with one person. We do that by building an autonomous underwater vehicle, so we take advantage of advances in robotics technology, and in particular a vehicle which I developed under an earlier project which has very long endurance. And we can carry that vehicle. The vehicle is small enough that it could be carried to a remote location, deployed, provide some first response data, and perhaps even left behind, because that vehicle actually, when we normally operate it, we operate it by communicating with it via a satellite link. And so if the vehicle can find a way to connect to a satellite link, or we can provide a communication relay, it can actually stay in place there. So even when the humans have to return on the helicopter, they can leave a measurement system in place. That way, when they're making their plans about how to use their precious logistical assets, their helicopters and whatever else they're going to use to get their first response equipment to the site, they have some information to deal with. They know how much oil there is, they know where the oil is going, and they know the nature of the oil, or at least they have some inkling as to what kind of oil they're dealing with.
LRAUV, the long-range autonomous underwater vehicle known as Tethys, is one of the many vehicles that Jim Bellingham has helped to develop. It's somewhere between a traditional propeller-driven vehicle, like a Remus platform, and traditional propeller-driven vehicles are more like fast underwater robots, and then a vehicle that can go into a low-power glider mode. So you get the long duration aspect, but if you need to, you can actually speed up. It's a nice platform where you could add on to its payload, and so the idea is you have a very basic under-the-hood science payload where you have a fluorometer, you measure water currents, temperature, salinity, and you're getting a good baseline of ocean data. But then you need to be more specific about what the special tasks of this vehicle are, and in this case it's going underneath the ice and being able to detect and potentially map out an oil spill. Because there is currently no capability in the Arctic for an autonomous underwater vehicle that can go in and be deployed, detect oil, map it out. There's not like you can look and see how somebody else has done it and learn from their mistakes, because nobody has done it. So there's something terrifying about that. But I was always told, you know, if something scares you half to death, it's probably the right thing to do. In this case, it's a very scary situation, but what's even more scary about that is not being able to do something.
These are very interesting times, and I think there are times when we're behind in terms of our understanding of this incredible, spectacular, but rapidly changing environment up there. And for me, that's a good chunk of the excitement of this project, is starting to provide people who care about that and work in that environment the tools that will let them really get a snapshot and be able to respond in the right way, in the sensible way, when things happen, or even when just policy decisions have to be made.